Hi, I'm Elizabeth Donoho and this is my story. I'm 44 years old. I was born in 1977 in Oxford, England, because my dad was in the Air Force. His name was James Donoho and my mom was Diana Donoho and her maiden name was Edwards. I have this I found that my dad got in 77 in England. I have one sister, her name is Amy Donoho. I also have a daughter, and this is the part I hate trying to explain. My sister has two sons, Zarius and Trevon. My daughter's name is Minara. The part that's hard to explain is that her sons, I also feel that are my children because I raised them all their life and like a mother would, so I do say that I have sons too, even though I didn't birth them. That's because I have a weird, interesting story about my life and I want to share it with you guys. It's unique, it's wonderful, and I want to tell everyone. If any of you remember watching my old vlogs I did with my sister, it was Sisters Talk. Some of you I'm sure will remember that who have been around for, gosh, the last like 10 years or more on YouTube. But there, me and her, we did like this. We would talk about, our life and kind of explain everything in our situation because it was unique. But I think those were taken down. So I'm going to do my own. But I'm just calling this Elizabeth Donoho. It's my life. And I have a right to talk about my life. I am starting at the beginning and I'm finishing at the ending. Isn't that how a story should go? I love stories and I love storytelling. It seems that us as humans love stories too. So I hope you guys watch my story, and if you like it, or if you don't, comment and please subscribe. Okay, so I'm not going to go in too much detail about like my childhood because I don't have a good memory and I don't remember a lot of my childhood up until like Alaska. The main places that we grew up were, because my dad was in the military, we did move around, but not a ton, were California. It was Riverside, California, and it was Fairbanks, Alaska, and Asheville, North Carolina. Those are the three major places. And California, it was when I was the youngest, we went to like Disneyland and Mount Rubidoux and, just had the best time growing up there. And then we went to Alaska, and that was like when I was in elementary school. And we were there, I don't know how long, but it was a while. And I loved growing up there too. It was so awesome with all the snow and all the outside everywhere. And then we went to North Carolina when I was a teen. So that was my brief history of where I've lived. Oh, now I'm in Florida. I'm looking at this picture here because this is Alaska. I hope you can see. Can you see it? Let me wait till it focuses maybe. That's me. That's my sister Amy. And that is Christopher Marsh. I loved him. I'm not joking. I loved him. And he also, and I'm sorry if he is alive and he ever watches this and he's like, oh God, because, probably married with kids or whatever. And this is a long time ago, but I saw it. Like I said, I'm going to talk about it because it was my life, So he lived in the neighborhood. He followed me like a puppy dog and I followed him like a puppy dog. We were like always together, and it's not like he did it, but because of the feelings, like it's kind of like that movies where that little girl and that little boy are like, childhood sweethearts and the one dies. What is that from, like a bee sting or something? Stand by, no, I forget what it's called, but it's so sad or whatever. But it's, when you hear about people who liked each other as little children or whatever, like I didn't know what any of that was or what love was or anything, but I knew that like he was made for me and I loved him. I didn't have any feelings about that like anyone else. And we were always together and we always did things together and we grew up all those years together. And I know it will sound stupid, but I'm the kind of person that'll say what I want, what's on my mind, regardless of what you guys think, is what I'm saying. That because of I know that the whole Cinderella true love shit is real, okay? You can see someone and you can fall in love instantly, and love is like such a powerful, it's like the best thing in the world, like real love when you feel it. And because like with him when I was young, because I know that, you know, that's like a thing that can happen. It's like now when I meet someone, it's like I kind of think that like if, and it's happened too with people, you know, through these years, that when I meet someone, it's going to be like an instant, you know, attraction. It probably sounds so stupid, but it's true. But waiting on that is probably why I'm going to be an old maid, you know, 44, and have been single and celibate for 25 plus years. So, but hey, it's my choice, you know. Anyways, back to Alaska. It was the best place to grow up. We did all kinds of things with my dad. We went to Alaska Land and we rode our bikes around the town. I didn't really have any friends other than Chris and Amy. Amy was like my best friend in the world. We always played together, and so was Chris, you know, Chris. And we lived on this street, and like across the street, you can probably see in the picture, were like these project apartments, you know. They weren't like real bad projects back then. This is in the 80s. But they were like the low income houses or whatever. But that meant, because there was a park in between us, in between them and our street. And that was the best for us because there was a ton of kids and they'd come out. And the funny thing is that because me and my sister have such a good imagination, that after school when we went outside, we would like think of these whole like fantasy lands and worlds, you know, like these scenarios, and it's like we would paint scenes with our words, you know, in our imagination, and that would draw the kids out, and we'd put them into like, you know, the roles, you know, like, oh, you could be the waiter, or oh, you could be the whatever, you know, the husband. And at the end of the night, you know, hours later, because back then that's, I think that's all kids did, right? Like rarely would they go home and go inside the house. Like you went outside and you played till it was nighttime, and you had to come in, you know. So we'd have like the whole neighborhood, all the kids just playing. It was so fun. It was such a great place to grow up. And we'd always go out like in the woods and the pipeline and just picking blueberries and black bears on the trails. And my dad was very active with us. My mom, she loved us and she was active with us in the house, but she didn't go out as much. She wasn't an outdoor kind of person, you know. We had a great childhood. I was a people person back then, but I wasn't like a friend person. I never have been. It's the weirdest thing, is I never really had many friends, you know, like, I don't know what it is. I think a lot, like I remember my mom, as I was growing up, always saying things about like, don't ever trust anyone, especially your best friend, and your best friends will screw you, you know, because hers did. And you know what I'm saying? I think it was just like a whole like lack of that in my mind, you know, growing up. And I just, you know, have always been weird about trusting people and having friends. It's weird. But Amy, like I said, Amy was always my best friend. We did everything together. That's what I want to say. First off, for any of these videos start, is that if anyone ever doubted any of the love that they've seen in our past videos, that's not true. It was all real. All that you've seen in our past videos, that you felt the love and the joy that we had and the happiness, that was not fake. That was real. You can't fake that. Amy was the best big sister. I've always loved her and always, like I said, thought of her as my best friend, and we've always been there for each other. She would stand up for me, she'd be there for me, and me for her. Amy always was how she is and how she was, and I always knew that, you know, about her, just like she knows me and like all of me and how I am and how I was, you know. And that's just what you do with your family and with your siblings, right? You have to accept people for how they are. And more than that, you have to love them for their good and their bad. That's just all there is to it. If you can't do that, then you can't truly love someone, because everyone has good and bad in them. Yin and yang, right? Right. Right, Elizabeth. Okay, so back to Alaska. I don't want to get all emotional on you guys. You know I'm a crier. So starting around then, like I said, I was in elementary school. I don't know how old that is. Okay, and again, I don't want to sound weird, but I always felt special. And I don't mean like in a way where like I'm better than someone, or, you know, like, what are other words for it? Like, you know, I never thought like I was prettier or better or smarter or, you know, richer or anything. But I always just felt different and like special somehow. And I wouldn't even be able to put words to it. Like if you would have asked me back then as that young of a child, you know, I would have like, I don't know. But I always did feel special, you know, and I don't know, like, and I still do. But like I guarantee you, if you've ever known me or if you know me, I've never ever had the thought of me being better than anyone. Because I'm not. I have always been different. And back then I was a definite tomboy. I didn't like being a girl. I didn't like how people treated me differently and like a girl and stuff, especially the men. I always attracted like perverty kind of men and stuff, I guess. I don't know why, you know, I still think I do. I wanted to be more boyish, and I even told my mom, I remember telling her that I never wanted to get married. I still don't. I didn't want to have kids. I did not want to have kids. That I didn't want to be a girl. Could I please be a boy? And she's like, no, you can't be a boy. I had my hair was shorter, like I think in the picture, but I also had, and don't get offended, this is what it was called, I had a fag tag or a rat tail, which is where you cut all your hair short, but then you leave the one long braid, you know? And I was always into sports and outdoor stuff. At school, I always wanted to outdo like everyone on like the field days and stuff. I've always been an active, sporty kind of person. Except for now, I love being a woman and I wouldn't want to be a guy. I wouldn't. I mean, it'd be okay, you know, but women rule. Well, sorry, men. You guys do too. And I'm gonna make a video about that because I love being a woman and all the things that come with a woman. And I think a lot of women and a lot of feminist women don't like the things I'm talking about. I'd like to talk about that one day. One thing before I go, you know, one thing I remember was on the playground. Every recess, every day there was this boy and he would chase me around and get all his friends to chase me around, and I freaking loved it. And then finally when he'd catch me, he would like tackle me to the ground and he'd sit on my chest, on my stomach, and he'd hold my hands out above me. And because of that, it's so weird how things that happen when we're young make up how we are when we're older. You don't even know what's happening when it happens or that it happened. But because of that, I love being, like, I love play wrestling, you know, like in bed and like being held down and stuff. Can't believe I just said that to you guys. Also in Alaska, I had a speech impairment thing where I couldn't say my R right. So I had to go like to a class for that. I had to ride on that little small handicap bus for a while because I broke my ankle and had to wear a fiberglass cast in the cold, so I couldn't walk or anything. I had to ride the handicap bus. And what else? I think that's about it. I just loved living in Alaska, building in the snow and playing and having a great time, going to the North Pole. I hope you guys thought this was interesting. This was my life. If you didn't, sorry. It might get better, it might get worse. I'm brutally honest, and I hope you come back for more. Thanks.